So in our last video, we drew the road. Now we're going to animate it. We're going to make these plants and these lane markings move down the screen. So let's get started. I need an animation loop. Now the loop needs to come after we do all the setup because I don't want to create the circle sprites and the rectangle sprites over and over. So I create them at the top, and then down here I'm going to create my main animation loop. So I'll just put a comment there, and to do that I'm going to create a Boolean variable called playing and set that equal to true, and then I'm going to say while playing. And so as long as playing is set to true, which it is, this loop will continue. Now how do I know what's part of the loop? Whatever is underneath and indented. So I highlight everything we've done so far below that and hit tab, and that indents it. So this is now all part of the loop. So I shouldn't have changed anything in terms of what it looks like, but notice now my program doesn't stop because it's looping over and over. And whenever I do this kind of looping, I should add a sleep at the bottom just to allow the program to catch up. So I will go sleep, and I'll just do 1 divided by 60 to sleep for 1/60th of a second. All right, now let's actually make these plants and lane markings move. So the beauty about using sprites is I have this attribute move by. So after I've drawn the left plant, I can say left plant dot move by, and I pass in two parameters: how far to move left or right, 0 in this case, and then I want it to come down the screen by -2. So if I run this now, hopefully my plant, yeah, look at that, it's coming down the screen. Awesome. Now I need to do the same with everything, but there's a little problem. Well, not even a problem, but something I can do here. Instead of putting -2 in all the move bys, because if I want to change that value later, I'd have to update it for every one of these sprites. I can actually store this in a variable, and then I just have to change the variable once. So I'm going to create a variable called road speed and set it equal to -2 to start with. And then I can update this, and it'll update all of my sprites. So instead of moving by -2 here, I move it by road speed. All right, so again, this should just run as it was before, but now I'm using a variable which is set to -2 here. So let's make everything move. I'm going to go right plant dot move by 0 and road speed, and then I'm going to do the same for all the dashes. So let's do that quickly. -1 dot move by 0, road speed, -2 dot move by 0, road speed, and lastly -3 dot move by 0, road speed. You get the drill. All right, here we go. All right, this is looking good. Everything's moving down the screen. Now, notice they've gone off the screen. They're actually going further and further down because we're not doing anything to stop that. So they're being drawn off the screen and off the screen. But the basic thing is working. They're coming down the screen. Now, the last step for this video is when one of them goes off the bottom of the screen, we want to respawn it up to the top. So how do we know when to respawn it off the top? Well, let's have a look. Let's say we've got our rectangle here. It is 600 pixels high and 600 pixels wide. And when our line marking gets to here, that bottom left-hand corner is 0, 0. So it hasn't gone off the screen at this point. We still don't want to draw it. So we want to wait until the lane marking has gone down to here. And at that point, the y coordinate of the sprite is below 0 by the height of the sprite. So sprite has a property dot height, so I can just check whether it's gone less than minus height, and that'll check if it's gone off the bottom of the screen. So let's try that. Let's try it with one of these dashes. We can say if -1.y is less than, let's try this, is less than minus -1.height, and if that's true, we will -1.move to, not move by, so this teleports it to this position, move to 295 across, the same x it currently is, but this time to the height variable, which holds the height of the screen. Notice this variable just by itself is the height of the screen or the canvas, but -1.height is the height of -1, which is 50. So I could have said -50, but if we ever change the size of the dash, this code would still work. So again, we draw the dash, we move it down by the road speed, we check if it's gone off the bottom, if it's past -1.height, and then we move it back up to the top. All right, let's check that out. All right, yeah, awesome. So the first dash went back up and kept on looping. So we can do exactly the same with -2 and -3 now that we know that's working. So let's do that. I'm going to copy these two lines of code here, and then I'm just going to paste them in. One here. Fix up the indentation. So if -2.y is less than -2.height, then -2.move to there, and then I need to do the same for -3. If -3.y is less than -3.height, then -3.move to, and now we should be having all the lane markings respawning as soon as they go off the bottom. That is looking great to me. Now we need to fix up the plants, which are very similar, but the plants, because they're circle sprites, they don't have a .height property. Instead, we're dealing with circles. So when the circle's gone off the screen, the center, the Y, which is the center of the circle, is going to be less than 0 by the radius. So instead of checking minus height, we can check whether it's gone past minus radius of the circle sprite. So let's have a look at that in code. Maybe it'll make more sense when we look at it in code. So let's look at where we draw the plants here. So we can say if left plant dot y is less than minus left plant dot radius, then we can move the left plant. So move to. We want to move it to the same position it was originally drawn in, which we did 20 for the x-axis. Yeah, same alignment on the x-axis. So move to 20, comma. Now this time, if we moved it to the height of the screen, we would draw it. Here because the radius is in the center. So we want to move it above the height of the screen by the radius of the sprite itself. So move to the height of the screen plus left plant dot radius. All right, let's check if that's going to work. Here we go. So we've done the left plant. Should go fully off the screen and then reappear. Nice. So we just have to update the right plant and we are done. So again, I can copy those two, or it's not that hard to type out. Let me say if right plant dot y is less than or equal to minus right plant dot radius. If that's true, then we are gonna do right plant dot move to, and instead of 20, it was 580 was the original x position of that plant, and then the height plus right plant dot radius. All right, nice work. Let's see. That is great. Awesome, all working. All right, so in the next video, we are going to create our own car and get it moving around the screen. See you then.